when we speak of African spirituality, we're speaking of the spirituality of our ancestors, what our ancestors practiced before they were Christianized, before they were colonized, before they were made Muslim, in terms of North Africa and West Africa and some part of East Africa. African spirituality, it has no sacred book. You can't say you're practicing African spirituality and then you are telling us that you're a Christian Sangoma. Like this phenomena of the Christian Sangoma. Now you are busy with the Bible and the same time as African spirituality. African spirituality has no specific day of worship, like Sunday. In terms of Christian Sangoma phenomena, it's a serious contradiction because you can't be a Christian and a Sangoma at the same time. Sangoma, when he dies, goes to Batimu. A Christian, when he dies, is either going to heaven or hell. So that itself poses contradiction. And therefore, you find people who are saying, they're in the Christian, in the African spirituality space, and then they have East too. And the other misconception is that most people are defining African spirituality through Ubongoma. Or they're defining even ancestor calling through Ubongoma. Hence, every second person we are twas. Young ladies, they have issues samujol, mujol. The first thing they think about uno twas.
Welcome back on the channel. I'm your host Nati. Today we have Thau Thau Haramanuba explaining the concept of African spirituality. Why Africans do not worship their ancestors. If you are new in the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Let's go.
I'm great. I always say I'm great because, when you say Thau Thau Haramanuba, I talk about the great. The great is great. The master of masters.
Thoughts on African spirituality?
We need to define African spirituality. When we speak of African spirituality, we're speaking of the spirituality of our ancestors, what our ancestors practiced before they were Christianized, before they were colonized, before they were made Muslim, in terms of North Africa and West Africa and some part of East Africa, before they were converted. It is the ancestors' consciousness. That is why we say we have to go back to our ancestors' consciousness in order to define our current consciousness. Now, when you come to African spirituality, it is premised on the fact that we understand that we are spirits going through the African experience. Now, when it's a spiritual, it's a combination of two things. It's a spirit and ritual. Now, this is what Basotho talk about as ditapelo tsa diketso, le ditapelo tsa mantswe, the practical and the verbalized form of adorations. Now, African spirituality, it has no sacred book. You can't say you're practicing African spirituality and then you are telling us that you're a Christian Sangoma. Like this phenomena of the Christian Sangoma. Now you are busy with the Bible and the same time as African spirituality. African spirituality has no specific day of worship, like Sunday in terms of Christians, Saturday in terms of the Jews, Friday in terms of the Muslim. Now, African spirituality, it has no converts. You cannot convert people into African spirituality. It has no proselytizers. It does not have converters, people who are proselytizing people into it. African spirituality is a consciousness of our ancestors. It is premised on the idea that we as African understand that we are living in a spiritual universe and everything have a spiritual explanation to it. Even the eclipse of the moon, the sun eclipse, the stones, the river, the tree. You see me worshiping under the tree. You start to say, these people are tree worshippers.
No,
it's because I understand that when you talk about spirit, the spirit world influences the material world. Actually, the material world emanates from the spirit world. Material is a spirit in a lower form. The spirit is a material in a higher form. So everything, whether the stone, that is why practitioners of African spirituality, they go to the rivers, go to the mountains, they choose for themselves particular sacred trees that they worship under. Now, the only difference, the difference is that when you speak of spirituality, you are not talking about theology or ideology. You're not talking about dogma and doctrine. The difference here is that spirituality make you understand that your body is a temple of the living creator, of the great spirit, which is the house that house your life, which your life itself is the essence of your existence. Now, Africans are in bondage because they approach spirituality through religion. Now, the confusion that we are getting is that practitioners of African spirituality are approaching African spirituality through religion. Now, in the organization I'm leading now, Bantu Soul Society, which is strictly dealing with African spirituality, Bantu Soul Society is three-dimensional. One is an institute of Africanity. We speak of Africanity.
Okay.
We talk about from Christianity to Africanity. But we say the journey from Christianity to Africanity, there is challenges in between, and it's mental. And that challenge we call a post-traumatic Christian disorder. Now, post-traumatic Christian disorder creates some other phenomena like the Christian Sangoma phenomena and schizophrenia. And the Christian Sangoma phenomena is a serious contradiction because you can't be a Christian and a Sangoma at the same time. Sangoma, when he dies, goes to Batimu. A Christian, when he dies, is either going to heaven or hell. So even the concept of eschatology is not the same. The concept of the end time, where you're going at the end of time, is not the same. So that itself poses contradiction. And therefore, you find people who are saying, oh, they're in the Christian, in the African spirituality space, and then they have is to your. And the other misconception is that most people are defining African spirituality through Obongoma. Or they're defining even ancestor calling through Ubungoma. Hence, every second person we are twas.
Yeah.
You know, young ladies, they have issues. The first thing to think about, we know twas. Now, you go through 5 messed up relationship. You're already thinking, no, these are the signs of what you have. And then some, and then, yeah, and then another charlatan tell you, "O possessed ke monna." And then that man now makes you now start to look for other women, and then you become a lesbian as a Sangoma. This is what is happening. One of the homosexual creating phenomena, Kibungoma. People are misdiagnosed by the as a woman or a man no ketla. Really, they are calling them moketla this nowadays, these women, understand? And then the same way they tell the men that you are strong. My strongest ancestor, I am told, is my grandmother. Because my baby name is my grandmother's name. Because if you call the name of the dead, you make the dead live again. But I'm a polygamist to the core. I love the woman through and through. I'm not even about to become attracted to women because I'm supposed to be possessed, or my strongest ancestor is my grandmother. And this can be explained within African phenomena. So we speak of Motu Ona Lebahabo. Who are your people among your people? You have your people and your great people. Your people are your father's people. Your great people are your mother's people. This is where you receive your greatness. Because why? That is why when you marry your uncle, which is your mother's brother, he's the one who's going to vouch for you, to negotiate, because he is sure you are his sister's child, because he saw his sister pregnant. So your paternity on your father's side is questionable. Maybe your mother get the types like these modern girls, but they have male besties. So your paternity on your father's side is always questionable. But on your mother's side, it's not questionable because your mother's brother, who is your uncle, saw his sister pregnant. And his sister gave him birth to you.
Yes.
So that side of the family, you're not questioned.
Sure,
So those are your great people. This is where you receive your greatness. Those are the people who negotiate your lobola. But on your father's side is questionable, right? Now, these phenomena, they create a lot of things. But again, if we go back 400 years ago, you know how many people it took to bring you into existence? It took 4,094 people to bring you into existence. Now, what makes you think out of the 4,094 people, you're only possessed by one person called Iketla as a woman, and that Ketla must now must masculinize you as a woman. And then now, after you have 2 to 3 children, you say you are a lesbian. And then from there, you say, no, Lumkulu Hamba Nae, who are attracted to other women. So as a woman, now you must find yourself attracted to other women. So it's a diagnosis that is happening in the African spirituality space and being popularized because no ke trend, you know. Ba bangata banana ba bitswa ketla. Ba bangwe ba thwasa ba fetsa ho thwasa, they still return to corporate world. Ba fetsa ho thwasa tlamehile yo ndumbe and heal the people. O thwasitse o feditse. Whenever you are sick, you are having one of these expensive medical aid. You are not even using the mutis that are in your apothecary, in your ndumba, but you are using Western medicine. Yet you have paid close to 300. I know people who have paid close to 300,000 to Twasa, and they've made fake job on them, and then they still go back to the corporate world because how fast out Twasa? I'm not doing no, but no. OPDs, I get no.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of misdiagnosis. This because of they have commercialized the space, because of their this instant gobelas. You know, somebody who are trusted tomorrow is a gobela. The next thing they're waxing lyrical on TikTok and on Facebook and prescribing for you 14 reasons that on amaketla. Relationship yakho ayisebenzi kanti no, your relationship require you to reflect on subjectivity or sile. You must try to look at how your ancestors used to keep relationship. How did your mother? But because you say we are not our parents, Rena, we're not gonna do what our parents used to do. So you're gonna be rude, and then you wonder when you have the highest body count, you have a lot of exes, and your life is not working. And then when you
Does this point bring us to African traditional religions? Because within African spirituality, you may find traditional religions. Would you comment on that?
Yes. African traditional religion is actually a creation of the African Christians.
Yes, that was Thau Thau Haramanuba, leader of the Bantu Soul Society. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. Let's go.